What's up, everyone? Welcome to this week's Fuse Network Ask Me Anything session. You're here with me, Ian Kane. I'll be your moderator for today, or host, as some people like to call it. And this week, we'll be chatting with Ramp Network. The date is Thursday, the 16th of June. I hope everyone's doing great out there this week. I'm sure probably not as great as we all were doing a few weeks ago. A little bit depressing on the crypto drop scenario. But hey, we've all been here before, right? Especially the people in this call. And hopefully some of the people in the audience and listening along. We've all been here before. It's time to get our heads down, to build, and remember that markets move in cycles, not everlasting ups. So now is the time for strong projects to flourish. Just a reminder to everyone that we record these sessions for later digestion or to unpack any of the more complex topics that we dive into during the sessions. Just head over to the Fuse Network YouTube channel and you'll find everything you need. Maybe even smash that subscribe button. Oh, whoa, sorry. Slipped into YouTube mode there for a second. All right, cool. Let's do a quick sound check, shall we? So I'm pleased to be here today with Robert Miller, Marketing and Comms Director at Fuse, and Veselin Petrov, Business Development and Partnerships over at Ramp. Robert, do we have you there?
Check 1, 2.
Check 1, 2. Robert in the house. Perfect. How you doing today, man? You okay?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Nice, man. Veselin, do we have you there?
I am here. Can you hear me well?
Can hear you well. All right, cool, guys. Give me a second. I'm just going to plow through a few bits and bobs, and then we will dive right back in, all right? So, firstly, this is an AMA. So we've been collecting questions all week from our guests, and we endeavor to plow through all of those. But still, if you're out there in the audience and you have a question, just stick up your hand and we'll bring you on the stage for your moment of glory. But just make sure to listen out for other questions that we're answering, just so you don't ask the same one, basically. It's always good to ask a new question. If you're a bit shy, no bother. Just ping a message into the Fuse Discord server, and we'll try and get round to those and get them answered as well. Just remember, guys, we're here for you. For those of you that don't already know, maybe this is the first time you've tuned into a Fuse Network AMA. Fuse is a unique blockchain that aims to bridge the gap between crypto and the real world. The platform has its own features and tokens that will help you to create your own crypto economy rather than other existing platforms that use and take help from third-party services and providers. We've been in the blockchain space for a long time now, and we're working tirelessly to upgrade the products and features of Fuse. So, as I said at the beginning, builders build in the bear market. For example, you can use Fuse Cash to create your own token that you can then use in the community as a token with monetary value to pay for services and features. So Fuse's approach to bringing crypto payments and DeFi to the masses, it really empowers other projects, businesses, organizations, and communities to adopt crypto and DeFi. With that in mind, it's time to welcome today's special guest. It's a pleasure to welcome Veselin Petrov from Ramp. Fuse started working with Ramp over a year ago now. And then we recently had some updates to that partnership. So we're here to talk about how it looks in the real world, recent updates, and why it's a great move for Fuse and Ramp. So just to give everyone a kind of 411, Ramp in a nutshell provides a tech stack to dApp developers, which allow dApps end users to buy crypto without leaving the dApp or wallet. Pretty damn cool, which helps to increase conversion and most importantly, be ready for the next million users. So let's jump right in. I'm going to go to you first, Ves. All right. So we're gonna dive in and we're going to start talking about Ramp. So it's really cool to have you here. But first of all, I just want you to start off by telling us a bit about yourself. How did you end up in this mental Web3 world? And what's your background, man? Tell us about yourself a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. First, thank you for the invitation. I'm happy to be here today. As you mentioned, my name is Veselin. People call me Ves because, my parents gave me some weird name. I need to find a way around. I've been in the crypto space for about almost 5 years now. Joined in 2017 when it was like the ICO thingy going on. Bought my first crypto. Was not really working on it, but I was more of on a personal use there. And start working in this ecosystem around 2019 when I joined like a angel investment company, doing a lot of stuff for them, mostly around deal creation and sourcing deals for the investors there.
Okay.
And then at some point, I just wanted to do it much more professionally, and I found like Ramp as a really nice place to do that. I'll tell a little bit more about that later, why I think Ramp is a great fit for me. But yeah, so here I am today.
Nice, man. Nice. I mean, so we're talking about on-ramps for crypto, and it's a very important topic in this field, and something very close to the heart of dApps as well. So the typical on-ramp, crypto is pretty long-winded for users, and it has been for quite some while, for some time now. It's getting better, but let's talk about that a little bit, Ves. Let's talk about the traditional ramp, how you guys want to change that, how you want to innovate there.
Well, we have so we are having multiple verticals that we're mostly working on because as you said, we are both working with the integrators as you and on the user side. So we are considering bettering the process on the both sides. So for example, for the users, we've always trying to be frictionless. Just removing another step or allowing more payment methods, being much less on a KYC pressure. So this is the main areas that we are working on. So it can really become frictionless. And of course, there's also the integrator part where we also need to do a due diligence on the integrator. So it's a kind of also a headache here. So we are also trying to lower this process or to make it like easier for the integrators so we can integrate with more companies as a whole.
Nice, man. Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. So how does the process kind of look in the wild when you're using ramp? Like, for example, if I want to get myself $1,000 of a certain crypto, like how does that work with ramp? Are you guys holding liquidity? What's the process here?
Yeah, it depends on, in terms of liquidity, it depends also on the integrator. So there's like multiple ways to handle liquidity. One of them is to source it to a centralized exchange because we have native connection with multiple centralized exchanges. So if the token of this specific company is listed on one of those exchanges, we can source the liquidity directly from there. So this is the first way. But it's also the case where the token is not listed to a centralized exchange, or we are not supporting the token, the centralized exchange that the token is listed on. So in this case, we can source the liquidity out of the company. So we are doing those monthly zero interest rate loan, which means the company is providing us a specific amount of the token on a monthly base. We're holding it in a pool, and at the end of the month, we are just like returning the rest of the tokens and getting another loan.
Got it. Got it. Okay, cool. So you're able to provide good prices like that, I assume, and that's would be one of your USPs, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So this is another a big thing for the users. So because especially for the users who are waiting for this bear market to buy more or are super price sensitive, they're always looking for the fees, and that's why we're trying to get as many native connections as possible so we can source the lowest prices.
Nice. And how about the fees on that side of things? How do you work with fees for customers and so the end user, what do they pay? Is it a percentage or how does that work?
It is a percentage. We are having a minimum fee as of the transaction. We can any transaction we need to cover some fees. So the minimum fee is 2.49 euro, and that so in having this in mind, like buying like super low amount of crypto, like let's say 5 euro, that's going to be a half of your transaction.
Yeah.
But then scaling up, we are keeping taxes between 0.49% to 2.49%. This also a lot of depends on the payment method that the user use. Because like the easiest way with the credit cards is of course the most expensive. But we are also supporting bank transfers, Revolut. We launched Apple Pay recently in the US as well. So using one of those methods can get you a better fee.
Nice, man. So it's about the system that you yourself are using as well as ramp as well. Okay, cool, man. So Robert, I'm just going to jump over to you for a sec here, and I just want to get your take on why this is so important for dapps in the Fuse ecosystem. Can you tell us a little bit about why this partnership with ramp aligns with the vision of Fuse?
So, as you said earlier, Fuse is all about enabling experiences that resemble the type that we see in the real world. If we look at projects or companies like really impressive companies, and companies that we aim to see, the likes of which we aim to see in the Fuse ecosystem in the future. Think of companies like Robinhood or Revolut. If you're in Europe, in the UK, or N26, projects that have built amazing financial services, experiences. These are the kind of things that we want to see more of in the Fuse ecosystem. We're seeing them. We're seeing them with the likes of Fuse Cash, for example, which I can talk more about later.
Yeah.
It's ultra important for we've got this growing blockchain ecosystem, an ecosystem that went close to sort of $2 trillion in liquidity at the height of the bull market. And then you've got TradFi, right? You've got traditional rails, finance and payments rails. People want to be able to operate in both of those worlds. They need to be able to operate, let's face it, in the traditional finance world because inertia, essentially, because the dollar's not going out. The dollar and the euro and other state currencies and the banking system is not going away for a long, long time. Yeah. Being said, there's some amazing things that we can do on top of the blockchain. There's some amazing sort of features and user experiences that we can create thanks to Web3 and blockchain technology. So people need to be able to function within both worlds. Ramp network are doing an amazing job as a fiat on-ramping solution to allow that to happen, to creating that bridge essentially.
Nice. I mean, it makes sense, this partnership, from that perspective, from both perspectives. What Robert you're saying is absolutely bang on. Like, we need this technology to onboard the next bunch of users, and dapps need this tech to make things easier for their users. So it all makes perfect sense. But Les, can you tell us a bit about Ramp's integrations across the kind of blockchain space right now? Like, perhaps you can throw some figures out there, like how much fiat has been processed into crypto with Ramp and things like that, like any sort of real world examples of Ramp in the wild.
I'm afraid I cannot just point out a specific number. I would say that, let's say per month, we are processing tens of millions of dollars. We are working like with having a user base of a couple of million users. So I'm not sure if that makes sense in terms of, getting this a picture clarified in terms of where we sit as an on-ramp service provider in terms of numbers. But yeah, I can just share that.
Sure, no, it's fine. I don't need specific numbers. I'm just thinking more about like the integrations of Ramp. So where is Ramp active right now? So I think you guys are part of, there's a football trading game where you're active as well, isn't it? Just in regards to real integrations out there.
Yeah, I mean, we saw recently that a lot of the integrators that we have are either a wallet or any type of game. Doesn't have to be necessarily a metaverse. So we are also building our next features based on this feedback from the market. Probably this type of dapps, and I mean assets management wallets or any type of games are the ones that mostly need people to be onboarded on. So that's why we are focusing as a part of the commercial team, but also the tech team is developing and working on features that are going to help us with this type of integrators.
So what kind of, so obviously fiat onboarding is a big priority. So what bottlenecks have you seen out there? What are you trying to solve?
As I mentioned in the beginning, so probably the biggest problem right now is the easy to use product for the users. Because actually the people who are coming to, let's say, first time to fiat on ramps are people who are struggling to go through the whole procedure of opening account on a centralized exchange, then buying funds there, getting verified, opening another non-custodial wallet, sending the funds over there, connecting to the project or dApp that they want to use it on. So we are trying to, generally fiat on ramps are trying to solve this problem. We are just trying to make it even more frictionless. That's what I said in the beginning as well. On the terms of the users, we're trying to be as frictionless as possible. On the side of the integrators, we're trying to be as compliant as possible.
Nice, makes sense. I mean, one of your marketing lines is the on-ramping experience your users deserve, and I really like that because it makes a lot of sense. And I'm just, is there like so for the developers that want to integrate with Ramp, how does that look for them? Is there a simple API? Is it partnership deals? How does it work for
Yes.
the builders out there?
Yeah. So we just created a simple API, which is integrated super easy. From the feedback we receive from our partners, it takes about 2 hours to set up everything. As the API is also customizable, so you can make it look native to your platform in terms of colors and logos and all that. So yeah, on the terms of the integrators, we kind of think that we almost reached the place where it could not be much easier than that in terms of like integrating just a simple API and ready to go. Of course, we on the compliance side, we're working a lot on the integrator side. Because we need to check out every company that we start working on, so it's a kind of a procedure there, and yeah, just trying to better those two processes.
Okay, nice. So, Robert, how will this kind of obviously the integration has been in place for a while now, but how does it show itself to kind of Fuse Network devs and Fuse Network users? What will they be able to do now that they couldn't do before, for example? Uh-oh, I think we've got Discord issues with Robert.
Oh, he's muted.
We're all good. I was muted there for a second.
Okay.
I apologize. This is a partnership we'll continue to develop over consistently over a number of forever basically. Currently the API, so the API that we have has been integrated into FuseCash and one for Voltage Finance as well. FuseCash users being your FuseCash users being your more sort of everyday user, slightly less sophisticated, if you like. They want to be able to transact on a simple, on a simple mobile interface, not have to pay fees, for example. So in that they're able to, and I second what Veselin is saying about making things as frictionless as possible. It's a word that we throw around a lot, but it's becoming more and more important. People aren't willing to. The hurdles that you and I, Ian, and Veselin as well, having been in this space for 5 years, were willing to go through, over the past 5 years or so with complicated onboarding experiences and playing around with exchanges and trying to work out what an order book is and whatnot. These kind of experiences are no longer acceptable for people like, let's say, my sister, for example, who likes to come home at 5 p.m. at the end of the day and spend time with the kids and watch Netflix. And if she's playing with this kind of solution, it shouldn't take more than 20 minutes, right, or less. They're not willing to sit up at 3 a.m. playing around with MetaMask and whatnot. It's all about making these, trading futures on Binance, for example. It's really about trying to make this as frictionless as possible. Least number of clicks. Least number of hurdles to jump through, and really sort of seamless. And I say this not because we're there by any stretch of the imagination. Veselin will also agree that there's so much that we need to do still, but we're committed to it basically in what we do in the work that we do with Ramp Network, in making it in making more jurisdictions available, making making more payment solutions available, making the sort of the KYC and onboarding experience as easy as possible, and ramping it. They're doing an amazing job and they're helping us grow our user base in FuseCash and Voltage Finance. The next step is making those APIs, they're available basically. Essentially, any developers that are building within the Fuse ecosystem, if you're building a DApp within the Fuse ecosystem and you want to have direct fiat onboarding, then you should reach out to either us directly, that can be me or someone on the business development team, or reach out directly to Ramp Network, and we can work together to see how we can create a direct integration so that people are able to onboard directly in your own app on Fuse Network. There is a workaround right now, so going back to the frictionlessness kind of thing. there's a workaround, which is if you want to onboard into the Fuse ecosystem, then go through Fuse Cash or go through Voltage Finance first, and then transfer the assets over to whatever DApp you're using. But obviously, once again, we're trying to make this as seamless as possible. So if you're building a DApp, then reach out. You want direct onboarding, then reach out, and we'll see what we can. We'll work together to get that integrated and create a better experience within your own app.
Beautiful. So you guys heard that here first. Devs, if you're looking to integrate and you're building on Fuse, reach out to us because, yeah, we're here to help you, and that's what we're trying to do. And we recognize that this is an extremely important part of the process as well. And I couldn't agree with both of you more. Like, as a person who's worked in the DApp space for quite a few years now, and as you said, Robert, correctly, like, I mean, who doesn't love sitting up at 3 a.m. on MetaMask trying to figure out what the hell's going on? Only us, right? And it's just not going to be acceptable to move. We cannot move forward like this. And it's got us so far. We can't go any further, really. It feels like that's the blocker. Like, things have got to get easier. Otherwise, it's just not going to work, right? I mean, so Ves, which categories are you specific on what kind of categories you're working with? Or is this a kind of one size fits all solution? Because one of the things I see a lot is blockchain gaming. And it's sort of spoken about as being some simplistic way to make money, but usually trying to get into these things is like you need a degree in engineering. Like, so are you guys picky about the categories that you work with, or are you just one size fits all, fiat on-ramp?
Well, we need to be picky because there's so many projects and so many different types of projects and categories that how you're calling them that are on the market, and it is just like keep coming every day. That if we are not picky, we're just going to lose the focus. So we are, as I mentioned, we are focusing a lot on wallets and gaming. So that's really important as also as the features and the additional functionalities that the fiat on-ramp is going to have. As one of them, which we're releasing really soon, is the fiat off-ramp. So the users will be able to not only buy crypto with fiat, but they'll be also able to exchange their crypto back to fiat directly on their credit card or bank account or whatever payment method they choose.
Wow, that's pretty powerful. That's pretty powerful, right? Like, I was thinking about when I was thinking about on-ramps, I was thinking, do these guys provide an off-ramp? Tell us a bit more about that. What's the timeline on this?
That's
no strict dates.
That's a bit difficult, probably. You know what I mean? I don't want to give a specific deadline, but we are we've never been closer to that. That's what developers say. We've never been closer to this release.
That's what they always say, right? We've never been closer. We've just also never been further away. Okay, cool. No, we never give hard dates on these shows. It's not about giving hard dates. It's
probably, if I have to be honest, it's probably in weeks. So now more like a queue on a queue basis, but it's probably in a couple of weeks, less than a few months, I would say. But we really we like the team has been focused for the last, I'll say, 6 to 9 months, almost probably a year, really focus on that. There's a lot of things going on behind this simple widget. So as Robert mentioned, it's legislations and different licenses and coverage and payment methods and all that. So it's very complicated. I don't want to blame them, but we're really about to launch it.
Nice, couple of weeks. So you're going to get in some real trouble with your dev team now, mate. If you can't.
Maybe 10, 12, I don't know.
Yeah, now he's stepping it back. All right, you heard it here first. It's going to be... No, I'm joking. Okay, so how do you handle international markets at Ramp? Like, we touched on regulation here. It's a big issue right now. I don't see the regulators as big bad monsters. I see them as people looking to clean things up. But you guys... How do you handle international markets with Ramp?
So, in order to operate on like the different continents and different countries, we actually support a little bit more than 170 countries already. So I would say that we operate on each continent. The thing that we do is we are having like a multiple legal entities which are licensed on the required licensing for the specific region, so we can cover, on one side US and South America, on the other side Europe and the rest of the world. So basically, We are having a couple of legal entities which are licensed by the local providers of these licenses. I don't even know how to call them. So we can legally have these transactions through the widget.
Nice. And what kind of methods, just touching on some basics, like you said, credit card, Apple Pay, like are we talking about Visa, MasterCard here, or what's the specifics of that, just to give people info on how they can use Ramp?
Yeah. So probably the most used payment method are the credit debit cards. Yeah, Visa, MasterCard. And then we are also supporting easy banking, which is available in the EU. So that's basically a bank transfer, which is processed really quick, almost like a credit card transfer. And then we also support Revolut, Apple Pay. We recently launched in the US as well. Adding also on the pipeline Google Pay. But as I said, for the off ramp, I don't want to give I don't want to give any timeline on that. But of course, we're just trying to have more and more payment methods so we can make it easier for most of the people.
Definitely, man. And Robert, just when we first started this kind of partnership, we offered free transfers from fiat to crypto, right? And because we wanted people to try it out and take it for a test drive. Is that still the case? Are we still in that zone, or are we not in that zone anymore?
It's not currently the case. It might come back depending on campaigns and new projects and whatnot. You know, these are often introductory offers. Obviously, there needs to be a revenue model. So we'll work with with partners like Ramp to ramp up early usage of new integration like this. So it's not currently the case, but it doesn't mean that it won't be the case. It won't be the case in the near future. By the way, some of those integrations, some of those payment solutions that Veselin was talking about just now are, they're ultra, like, very powerful. The Revolut one, for example, is very, very powerful. The speed at which you can on-ramp once you've onboarded, in particular, the speed at which you can then go ahead and continue to send money onto the blockchain, onto Fuse Network with Revolut, for example, and Apple Pay is it's amazing. It's great to see. That is an example of where Ramp are really sort of doing the heavy lifting basically in the background. They're operating within the traditional finance and payment space and navigating complicated stuff to do with regulation and legal, but also on the tech side of things, so that people can then come into the blockchain and then transact sort of seamlessly and openly, and move money around with less friction, essentially. So it's an important point to make, essentially, which is that Ramp are really sort of doing the complicated stuff in the TradFi space, so that once the assets are on the blockchain, there's more freedom, essentially, for the user.
Nice. Okay. Well, as you can tell, Vesel, we're pretty pumped for this integration, man. Like it's definitely going to push things forward at Fuse. But one thing we have to talk about, I think, is security for a moment, and it's a big issue in our industry and one that users tend to consider first and foremost. How is Ramp set up to deal with security of funds and laws? And tell us a bit about that, about your ethos regarding customer security.
As I said, we are like a compliance first company. So we need to follow some specific regulations in this term. I'm not sure where to go with on this question, but I can definitely say that we are like super strictly on that side. We are having like a lot of people coming to the company in terms of the integrators, which they wanna start working with us, or they wanna just integrate the API. I'm gonna say something that I wanted to say earlier. Probably this is also because the integration of an on-ramp is currently for free. In terms of the integrator, we are actually making money out of the fees that the users are paying by the time of the transaction. So we are having a lot of integrators which are coming to take this integration, but we are not able to support them because of some of the regulations that we need to follow. For example, we are not able to allow any type of casino games, game of chance tokens, or anything like that. So we are staying away from anything which is risky, which is probably one of the main things we are doing around security. And we are working only with companies which have gone through our due diligence process, which is getting more and more difficult to pass. As we in the commercial team, we're trying to lower this barrier, and the compliance team are increasing them, and we're trying to work it out for both departments. But yeah, we basically stay away from anything which is considered risky for us. And on the other side, we're just like super strict on the companies that we work on with.
Okay, nice. All right, guys, I've got a whole bunch of questions here from our Twitter followers. I'm going to dive into them in a second. I just wanted to ask you, Ves, last question on this is about what's the next 6 months looking like for Ramp? What are the major milestones and goals that you guys are heading towards? And, what should we be looking out for coming from Ramp in the next, for 2022?
Right. I should start with the off-ramp thingy, as it's a for a long time. So for the next 6 months, I would say we will launch it for the next 6 months. Of course, we will be launching it on different stages. So I want to see it launched like fully on all the tokens and all the geographic and payment methods that we support, because it's going to be launched on first like testing with a few tokens and a few payment methods, and then rolling out to the full potential that we are having. We are also working on automation of the process in terms of integrators. So you as an integrator will be able to reach to a certain point to get the testing API, to start filling questions for the compliance, without a person to handle all the communication in deal. This will actually scale up the number of inbound that we are taking, because it will be unlimited amount of people can be guided through this process. And the other side, we are also working on NFT Direct, which will be allowing people to buy NFT directly with a credit card. And this would be the next big thing after the off-ramp. I'm not sure if we're going to launch it for the next 6 months, but we're going to definitely start working on it as soon as we launch the off-ramp.
Very cool, very cool. So the NFT Direct will be integrations into NFT marketplaces, I presume, to facilitate. Yeah.
Yeah. So because so far, in order to buy an NFT through Ramp, you need to buy the native token or Ethereum, whatever network you're on, and then buy the NFT with the tokens that you just bought. But we just also want to eliminate this one step of purchasing the token, but directly purchasing the NFT with your credit card.
Yeah, that's perfect. Another streamlined process as well. It's really good. There's also the argument to say as well that when there's too many steps in the way, people have also got too many things to think about and too many chances to not complete the steps. So I think a nice smooth transaction is always the best way forward. All right, guys, we're going to jump into some questions from Twitter. Seriously, I've got loads. I'm going to try and be a little bit picky here. I'll let you know who I'm pointing it at. Most of these questions are going to be for you, Ves. Rob, I've got a couple for you here too, so I'll ping those over. All right, so let's go. Question from Malcolm Hill. Many new projects develop well at first, but then fail to achieve good results. How will you manage and develop your project to gain a position in the market and become a good project in the blockchain industry? I'm going to point that one at you, Ves. So what you're doing to, how you're going to long out this bear market, and how you're going to achieve good results throughout this?
Well, you mentioned really correctly in the beginning that bear markets is here for the builders. So of course it will be good. I was not sure. So was it a question about that? There's like really in the beginning of the journey, and then the bear market comes and it's all for them.
Yeah, he's kind of saying like, okay, everything was good for you guys while everything was pumping, so now it's not so pumping. How are you going to deal with that? But I think you've told us that with your updates, really. I think because what you're working on this year, right?
I'm not sure I got the last part.
I think it's yeah, he's basically just like asking what you're going to do during the bear market. So I think you've already answered that pretty well with the NFT and the off ramp.
So yeah, the off ramp is actually something that probably is going to be very beneficial in a bear market. We still haven't had the chance to have a bear market with an off ramp because like in this industry, most of the people are trying to still get in and not get out of crypto. So, but in the bear market, there's like a bigger probability of people who are using the ramp services to off ramp as they want to exit as soon as possible so they didn't lose their money. So off ramp is definitely something that is going to be very useful in the bear market on our side. Of course, if you have some investors' money in the bank account, is also going to help. But yeah, definitely building some new features and preparing for the next bear market because they'll be just keep coming.
Yeah, definitely. Robert, I'd ask you the same question, right? We're in a bear market. How can you give Fuse community members a little taste of what we're up to over the next 6 months and into the future, Oh, I'm muting again.
Once again, I was muted.
Who would have guessed that we work in the technology field, eh?
Yeah, there you go. There's a few big things happening. Yes, we are we're in a builder's market, right? We're not in a bull market. We're in a builder's market, a whittler's market. It's interesting to look at actually. If you go to certain like builder-focused, developer-focused products and websites like ChainStack, for example, if you check out SimilarWeb, then you'll see that the amount of traffic going to those sites is growing. If you go to CoinGecko, traffic is going down. Go to ChainStack or to other developer-focused products, traffic is going up. So developers are flying into this space. They're smart enough to know that the drop in price doesn't mean that the technology is not the next big thing. So the studio is being deprecated over a certain number of months. The studio was the product that was created 2 years ago, self-service, allowing anybody, whether they're a developer or non-developer, to build payment systems, starting off with the minting of a token and then the creation of a customizable wallet. And what that allowed us to do was to onboard a lot of real-world projects into the ecosystem. It created an enormous amount of leads, many of which became prominent projects within the Fuse ecosystem. What we're essentially doing now is building on top of that with a more developer-focused product. In this case, we're building Fuse Charge, which replaces the studio. It's really about APIs and software and clients that enable developers to create seamless payments experiences. Really focusing on real world. Why not gaming as well? This has got a huge use case in gaming, but essentially you're talking about a sort of Stripe, if you know it, on Fuse Network. So not only APIs and software, but also a decentralized marketplace or app store within Charge that has all of the things that a developer might need in order to build within the Fuse ecosystem. So the sort of the B&Q, I like to say, if you're from the UK, or the Home Depot of Fuse, you can literally go in there and look around and say, okay, well, I'm going to need that. I'm going to need hosting. I'll need subgraphs. So let's put that in there as well. I'm going to need this API, this API, this API, plus a client. Very good. Charge is expected over. It's actually the sort of the V1, and the early users will be onboarded literally in the next sort of 4 to 6 weeks or so. And then we'll do a slow rollout, and eventually we'll make it open to everybody. On the ecosystem side of things, look out for new funding mechanisms on the grant side of things. So new ways for projects to get funded within the Fuse ecosystem. So there'll be news coming out on that soon. There'll be big innovation happening on the stable coin side of things. I won't go into any detail on that, but following the fallout from what's happened within the Terra ecosystem, obviously we believe massively in stablecoins, especially given our focus on real world implementations. There's going to be some interesting news and innovations coming out on the stablecoin side of things. The other big thing, I would really encourage any members of the ecosystem to be checking out the forum, so forum.fuse.io. When it comes to making changes at the protocol level, so on Fuse Network, these aren't things that we can just do unilaterally, right? As a foundation, it requires input from the 65 validators on the network, of which there are, they come from a diverse, there's a very diverse group of people there, and investors and companies and brands essentially that are validating and are part of the governance model. But I encourage people to be looking at the various different proposals that are being made to increase the economic attractiveness of the network. So things like reducing the inflation rates over time, which of course reduces sell pressure and therefore brings more economic attractiveness to the network. And then many others, and then other proposals also for the network to bring more functionality, essentially, to bring more functionality to the network, increasing the block size. That's the latest one that was pushed out. I think it was pushed out in the last sort of 2 weeks or so. So increasing the block size, and other proposals around scalability, etc. Sort of roll ups and layer twos on top of Fuse Network. So lots of things in the pipeline over the next few weeks and months.
Super interesting what you said at the beginning about the builders kind of rushing in to build. I think that is a really, really interesting point, and it makes me smile a lot, actually. It looks like we've got a good couple of years ahead of us. I think it's interesting right now. People are being a bit negative, and I'm actually like super happy and positive. I'm like, this is a good time.
Look at the data. What's happening right now? What's really interesting to see right now. We can talk about the market for a second. What's really interesting to see compared to 2018-19 is that institutions are getting wiped out. Three Arrows Capital, Celsius, and other prominent institutions within the space are having a sort of hard time of it. There's a battle taking place, a sort of fin technological warfare was the term that I caught the other day on Twitter. So there's this sort of war taking place right now in the markets, and that's leading to just shenanigans basically from a pricing perspective. And then there's also just general market dynamics taking place. People think about fundamentals, but let's face it, there's also accumulation and distribution basically. When markets just pump ridiculously, they're gonna come back down. But what people need to be looking at is adoption. What's happening from an adoption perspective, developer adoption, what's happening in terms of like general usage on the various different dapps, NFT projects, DeFi projects, etc. These are the metrics that people should really be looking at, and developers are smarter to know that this is the technology they want to be working with. They want to be ready for the next for the next few years to come and maybe decades to come. So it's really interesting to see. Go and check it out for yourself. Check out things like Chainstack, one of the integration partners coming on board soon with Fuse, and other developer tools. Charge will be the same. Fuse Charge will be the same. Being ultra focused on developers, we're seeing an uptick in traffic from developers looking to build on these things. Check out CoinGecko, however, and you'll see a downtrend in terms of traffic.
Super interesting. Obviously, working with dapps all the time, we're seeing that too. Over, if you look at the data on dapp unique active wallets right now, you're seeing some green. Like it goes against the trend of crypto. Crypto tokens might be down, but dapp usage is up, which is great. That's what it's all about. The blockchain is only really as strong as the applications running on top. Ves, what are your thoughts on the market at the moment? Like, I like to get people's ideas. How are you feeling? Are you crying, or are you smiling?
I was just agreeing on most of the things that Robert said. First about the adoption, which is very, very important in the on the place that we are right now. And if you look at it like in a more in a bigger perspective, like this is the first bigger bear market since there was like real use cases. Companies started building. Hiring people, capital went in the crypto industry like a lot more than before. A lot of the big minds are also going this direction. Web3 sourcing out the biggest mind on earth, depending regardless of what they're doing. If you're a tech guy, a salesperson, all the people are sourced in this way. And I believe this is healthy for another reason as well. So first would be to see like the real adaptation, the real adoption actually in terms of companies building and the ecosystem building as a whole, investors, VCs, companies, people, and all that around. And on the other side, I think when you see like a bull market and you see like a lot of people joining in order to make some quick bucks, when the bull market is on, everyone is like super happy of making money out of nothing, or just investing in some coins that they've heard they might blow up and make like 10x or something. But when it's like the bear market, there's only the people who are believers and working on that, and like the people who are actually creating the value that investors, the type of people who are just like here for some quick bucks, are actually trying to extract on the bull market. So for me, super healthy. Even companies which are just here for the hype will probably not make it after the bear market, which is also very good for the whole ecosystem. And I don't believe this only for the crypto ecosystem. This is also good for like the stocks and the regular companies. Is also the same situation. When it's like recession and in general that looks bad, people are losing money or job or getting out of companies and all that. But there's like the healthy part where only the ones that have built strong foundation are going to survive and grow bigger after that. And let's don't forget that after every bear market, usually comes the bull market. So let's all prepare, build, and focus on what we can do right now, instead of bleeding and crying every day. Which might be the case. I believe a bear market is not that bear market is not that bad. When the things happen, when the things happen with Luna and UST, this is probably a reason to cry and bleed, but not the bear market.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. And I don't think we're confirmed as even being in a bear market yet. I think the true definition is a good 6-month run of below a certain level, and we're not there yet. So we've got a lot more doom to go, I would say.
We are in a builders market, as Robert said earlier. So I love that.
Let's call it that. Let's call it that. I think I was reading this morning, and I think Matty Greenspan said something very similar to both of you, that if you make it through this period, you're looking at potentially massive upside on the other side of this. So like we've said a couple of times, it's a time for builders, and that's what we're talking about. So we're getting towards the end of the session, guys, and I'm just going to go back to Robert there. We're getting towards the end, so I just want to give you a minute to let listeners know how to action what we've been talking about here. So we mentioned it earlier in the call as well, but just to summarize this, how can devs learn more about the integration? Where can they reach out to us? What support are we offering to builders? Tell us about that, Robert.
So they should reach out on the website. If they're building on Fuse, then reach out on the website and get in contact and tell us more. If you go to the bottom of fuse.io, then there's a space there where you can tell us more about what you're building. Or reach out directly in the Telegram. You'll be more than welcomed and put in contact with the representatives that can follow your case, and we can talk about Ramp. We can talk about Fuse Charge if you're interested in Web3 payment APIs. We can talk about other solutions or services that they might need within the Fuse ecosystem, whether it's subgraphs or they can also take advantage of the infrastructure that's provided directly by Fuse. Fuse Charge in particular, such as hosting, etc. So we're keen to engage with any projects that are building on the platform and see how we can help them navigate one, and how we can directly help them two.
Nice. Okay, cool. So you heard that. Ves, it has been great to have you here today. I think it's really safe to say that the partnership not only makes a lot of sense, but can push Fuse dapps and dapps generally closer to mass adoption. there anything that I haven't asked you today that you wanted to get out there? Perhaps a little shout to the best places where people can connect with Ramp to ask those questions for you. How can people get in touch with you?
Well, so of course we're just trying to again have like multiple channels. So on one side there will be the integrators. So we are having like a dedicated email, but also we are also having like a Discord, which is mostly used for integrators to ask question, or our Discord is more for the integrators and their users. To be there, ask questions, get some help from our moderators there. Of course, we are also having like a dedicated partner email. It's a partner@ram.network, where all of the inbound is coming. We are, taking care of all that. Having even a dedicated person to review all the inbounds. So definitely, those are the best place to contact us. Again, on the website, we are also having like a staging APIs, which are free to use. So even if you are a project which haven't get in touch with us, you can go on our website. It's open source. You can source that API, and it's a staging API, but it's fully functioning. So if you wanna, just to taste what we're doing, to see how it works, to see what we can do with our product, it's all there, and you can go and test it out.
Nice. Okay, cool. All right, guys. I think it's time to say thank you and wrap this thing up. So I just want to thank both of you. You've both been awesome, and hopefully we've taught everybody something today about the importance of fiat on-ramping, more specifically the importance of Ramp in the Fuse ecosystem. So I just want to thank you both. Thank you very much, Rob. Thank you, Veselin. It's great to have you here, and thanks for your time, both of you. So yeah, go on.
Just a quick final comment there. Breaking news. I think that Circle must have been waiting for this AMA, but Circle, who issue USDC to the scale of tens of billions of dollars, have just now announced, it's the press release has gone out in the last hour, that they're launching a euro stablecoin. This has been tried by others with not crazy success. But this is big news for the Fuse ecosystem. Multiple projects have attempted to integrate some sort of euro stablecoin type solution into their apps in the Fuse ecosystem. It's been challenging. The news has just broke literally in the last hour. So big for us, and no doubt massive for Ramp Network as well, because Ramp Network was born in Europe. It's their most powerful jurisdiction. So this will bring enormous amounts of traction to Ramp Network as well.
Oh, wow. That's pretty big news, man. Jeez. Okay, cool. So that's Circle releasing a euro-backed stablecoin. Algorithmically pegged, Robert, does it say?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. It's got some complicated Einstein type maths in there, so that only about 4 people in the entire world understand, so that when it all collapses, we can all once again complain that we didn't understand what was happening in the first place.
Fully backed. All right.
Fully backed, as is Fuse Dollar, of course, which is the stable coin that is purchased essentially. It's on ramp to when people use Ramp Network in Fuse Cash. So Fuse Dollar is fully backed by USDC, also issued by Circle, and I'm pretty confident. I'm just speaking to Mark now, Mark Spargan, live on Telegram, who's also excited. I'm pretty sure that we'll see a fully backed Fuse Euro backed by Circle's Euroc. They're calling it Euro. Is that what they're calling it? Yeah, Euroc. I'm sure we'll likely be seeing that happening on Fuse in the coming months as well.
Nice. All right, so we got AMAs, live news updates. We got it all here at Fuse. Thank you guys very much for your time. You've both been awesome. Thank you, Veselin. I know you're a busy guy. Really appreciate your time. Wish you the best of luck this year and the rest moving forward with Ramp, and I'm sure we will speak again. All right, guys, let's wrap this thing up. Tomorrow we have another AMA over here on Discord. And we're going to be speaking with Arcana. So you can find the details for that over on our socials. We're putting up tweets and it's all in the Discord. Find out all the information there. Click interested if you want to come along and check it out. So thank you very much. I will see y'all later. you very much, guys. Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Ves.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Fuse team, for inviting. Have a nice one.